Welcome Nintendo Power Players to Chronocord Gaming. I'm C-Dub and this is my collection of games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's start out with, what else? The NES itself. Enough said. Perhaps the most important accessory, aside from your controller, the NES Zapper light gun. Folks mostly associate this with Duck Hunt, found on the multi-cart pack-in with the NES, but there are many other great Zapper games, like Hogan's Alley, The Adventures of Bayou Billy, and Barker Bill's Trick Shooting. On to some other nostalgia. This is a Nintendo Power Magazine subscription pamphlet, which was packed in with many games at the time, and it does a fantastic job of showing you what kind of valuable maps, cheat codes, tips, and tricks you would find in every issue of Nintendo Power. Another must-have accessory with your NES was the cleaning kit. I found the instruction page, one manual, and 2 NES cleaning kits at a flea market, my favorite place to hunt for games on the cheap. They are essentially just heavy cotton in the shape of an NES board that you use with a cleaning solution to get the grime off of the contacts. They get pretty disgusting over the years, much like this NES cleaning kit. I stick to other methods of cleaning my carts. The Game Genie Video Game Enhancer by Gloop. If you didn't have one of these as a kid, your parents didn't love you. Okay, maybe that's not the case, but realize there is no hyperbole in me saying how cool these things were when they came out. Unlocking abilities like Mega Jumps, Infinite Time, Invincibility, and other game-breaking powers seemed so awesome to me as a kid, and many people, like myself, enjoyed experimenting with codes not found in the codebook provided by Gloop. The best codes were usually printed in gaming magazines of the time. If you're an NES collector, you gotta have a Game Genie. Moving along to the one and only boxed game in my collection, and it's one near and dear to my heart, WWF WrestleMania. WrestleMania captured the biggest superstars of the World Wrestling Federation in all their 8-bit grappling glory, with a roster that included Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase, Macho Man Randy Savage, the Honky Tonk Man, and Bam Bam Bigelow. And now, for where the bulk of my collection is found, loose cartridges. Rygar is a great platformer by Tecmo, in which you wield the legendary disc armor weapon, conquering the evils which have taken over the land of Argul. Rygar was originally released in arcades in 1986, and later ported to the NES in 1987. Great game if you've never played it. Next up, Vegas Dream by HAL America. This is your standard casino game featuring a story mode, as well as a exhibition mode, if you will, strictly featuring the gambling games. You choose from Keno, Blackjack, Roulette, and slot machines. Be careful of random encounters with other characters. The characters vary from casino employees to vile pickpockets. This game is notable for being the predecessor to another favorite here at Chronocord that came out on the Super Nintendo, Vegas Stakes. Tennis, rough top label and all, is one of the 18 black box games released at launch for the NES. It features basic gameplay, 1 and 2 player modes, and our pal Mario as the referee. Another rough top label on this one. MagMax by FCI was an arcade title brought to the NES in the United States in October of 1988. You control the MagMax hover ship in this horizontal shooter, and can upgrade your vessel to become a colossal powerhouse. Xevious, one of only 3 games that begin with the letter X on the NES, is a vertical shooter from Namco. Xevious has some of the best-looking environments in scrolling shooters on the NES, and for the original 1983 release in arcades, was the first game to have a television commercial aired in the North American market. RC ProAm is a fun racing game developed by Rare, distinguished by an overhead view compared to the third-person over-the-shoulder perspective found in most racing games of the time. Reviewers have called RC ProAm and its sequel on the NES inspirations for future racing classics like Rock and Roll Racing, Super Off-Road, and the Mario Kart series. I'll definitely be on the lookout for RC ProAm 2 to add to my collection. Tecmo Bowl, the mother of all gridiron games. Released in 1989 on the NES, it eclipsed the original arcade release in popularity and remains one of the greatest games of any kind, not just sports, found on the system. The sequel, Tecmo Super Bowl, is even better. I'm always on the lookout for that one at a good price. The sequel to WWF WrestleMania, WWF WrestleMania Challenge. Challenge features a larger roster that captures the essence of the WWF from 1990, including 9 superstars and a player avatar character called Yourself. Developed under the working title WWF Survivor Series, the game has great 8-bit renditions of wrestling entrance themes, as well as 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and 3-on-3 matches. Punch-Out! This version features Mr. Dream instead of Mike Tyson as the final boss, who is equally as difficult as Kid Dynamite. While most folks prefer the Mike Tyson version, I found this at a yard sale for a good price and had to pick it up to add to the collection. Another personal favorite, Friday the 13th. I'm a huge fan of the film series, and this game scared the crap out of me as a kid when I would play it with the lights off late at night. It gets a bad rap due to controls being awkward and a high level of difficulty, but once you figure it out, it's not that bad. Destroy Jason, if you can. One of the pack-in games with the NES, Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, a 2-in-1. Copies of this game were available for next to nothing at one time, and it always makes me laugh to see people with $25 price tags on such a commonly found title. Another great sports title from Tecmo, Tecmo World Wrestling. Notable for featuring the first instance of commentary in a game, albeit in text bubbles. Tecmo World Wrestling features 10 fictional wrestlers, loosely based on real mat stars of the time. It also has a pretty cool training mode between matches. Pikmin Land is a sequel to the 1983 arcade game Mappy, where you control Mappy, collecting items and avoiding enemies in 8 stages. Not much else to say about this one. It's a fun game, and for a $1 asking price, couldn't pass it up. Section Z by Capcom. My cousin gave me this game for my 6th birthday, and I enjoyed it most of all of my gifts that year. Set in the 3rd millennium, you control an astronaut sent to infiltrate and destroy a space station near Earth that serves as the base of an evil alien empire. You battle through 60 sections, destroying the bosses found along the way. Great game to check out if you've never played it and enjoy side-scroll shooters. Tecmo Baseball is not my favorite baseball game on the NES, but just about all of the Tecmo sports titles are worth picking up. Released exclusively in January of 1989 in North America, it features single-player, 2-player, and simulation modes. St. Louis and Minnesota, the 2 teams from the 1987 World Series, are the best in the game, along with the other 12 teams. Super Mario Bros. 3. The anticipation for this game before its release was immense. I saved my allowance, and in early 1990, finally got my hands on what is now regarded as one of the all-time greatest games on any console. While Super Mario Bros. 2 was a nice change of pace from the original, Mario 3 took everything great about the first game and made it even better. While it's one of, if not the most desirable games on the NES, you should hold out for a good price on this one. Ring King often gets put down for the 10 count by Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as one of the best boxing games on the NES, but I greatly enjoy this Data East arcade port. Let's not mention the questionable actions of the cornermen between rounds in this game. Get your minds out of the gutter. Othello was a port of the board game of the same name, which was similar to the game Reversi. Developed by HAL Laboratory and published in North America by Acclaim, Othello is a must-have for those who enjoy the board game. I had the board game as a kid, but never really played it. I do know that the game pieces were really great for flinging at your pals. I do know that from experience. The second of 3 games on the NES that starts with an X in my collection, Xenophobe. Originally in arcades and ported to the NES by Sunsoft in 1988. It features cooperative, independent exploration multiplayer puzzle gameplay, which is pretty amazing in hindsight. Xenophobe is one you might enjoy if you like games like Portal and Portal 2. Racket Attack is an extremely common tennis game released in 1988 for the NES, which features 16 different players, a unique quarter overhead view, 1-player tournament play, and 2-player exhibition matches. It also features an advertisement by Wilson Sports, found only in the North American release. I saw this complete in box recently for a decent price, but passed it up, as I only really collect my absolute favorites in the box, and only if I can find a really good deal. Rally Bike was an arcade motorcycle racing game with a bird's eye top-down view, ported to the NES by Romstar in September of 1990. Racers must avoid obstacles and ration their fuel supply, which is lost in collisions, to reach the finish line and win the race. World-class track meet was featured in the 3-in-1 NES pack-in cart alongside Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, which came with the Power Set NES systems that included the Power Pad accessory. The game is most notable for being a rebranding of the extremely rare, highly desirable collectible Stadium Events cartridge. George Foreman's KO Boxing. This cart looks like it was placed on a Foreman grill, but nevertheless, it's a fun boxing game that also saw release on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Sega Master System. The game was poorly received when released in 1992 compared to the titan of boxing, Punch-Out. At least George would go on to capture his second World Heavyweight Boxing Championship 2 years later. Anticipation is a video board game developed by Rare and released in late 1988. It combines elements of Pictionary and Trivial Pursuit and includes multiplayer support for the NES Satellite and 4-score 4-player adapters. I'm going to have to pick one of those up. And if you're looking for an 8-bit party game, try out Anticipation. I hope everyone enjoyed this peek into my NES collection, and I sincerely hope you anticipate another update in Part 2 coming soon, whenever I pick up some more games. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe, like, and share Chronocord Media, and stay tuned for more video game, entertainment, sports, pro wrestling, and original instrumental music. I'm C-Dub. Catch you next time.